Great, I think we can start. Hi everyone, welcoming you all to the second session on innovation under the Nasscom Knowledge Series. We are here to sort of empower you with the insights, tools, and practical strategies to thrive in an innovation landscape. This series is part of the NASSCOM IP Enablement Program, which is an initiative aimed at transforming India's IP ecosystem. The program sort of focuses on key pillars like awareness, accessibility, protection, and commercializations for organizations and individuals to actually understand and truly value what is known as IP today. Right. We have two very eminent professionals here today joining us. We have Mr. Balaji, who is the delivery head at TransUnion. He will speak about the role of innovation in fintech, accelerators of innovation, challenges and opportunities. And we have Mr. Anand, who is the MD at Mr. Cooper India. He will be speaking about data mining and the applications of innovation in BFSI. Right. Welcome you both, Mr. Balaji and Mr. Anand. Thank you so much for joining us today. Balaji, over to you, and we'll come to Anand once you're done. Yeah. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're able to hear me clearly. Very nice to be part of this series. Looking forward to some interaction with you. Just to start off with some interaction, I know like it's afternoon time, but just wanted to start off with one question. You can put the answer in chat. What, according to you in India, was the biggest BFSI or say financial innovation that happened in the last decade, you can say? The first thing that comes to your mind when you think of innovation in India, a product that has taken, in fact, the world by storm, just giving some clues. So what do you feel according to you? Okay, bang on. I think, okay, I think I see three responses, Senthil, Utang, Rajesh, everything saying UPI. Perfect. I think that's all that's the one I had on mind also. Let me share my screen now. Please let me know once you're able to see.
Yes, Balaji, we can see you.
Okay, so I concur with you, Senthil, Rajesh. The same thing I had in my mind, just like you had, and I just validated it by going to Google AI overview last night, just searching what is the most innovative real-time innovation product in the world. And Google overview, if you search, also you can find out comes out with UPI as the answer. So I think this is something which we are all proud of. There is a reason I started wanting to start with this UPI before I go on to some trends that is happening in BFSI and where we can apply our own innovation. And I also will cover a bit on the challenges and any challenge provides opportunities and how we can convert some of the challenges to opportunities. So that is what I'll be speaking in the next 15 to 20 minutes. But just started with UPI. Like, as you know, this is the one which each one of us use. And any one of us, be it our parents or the people whom we work with, or the people in our society or the state or community or country, everyone knows about this. If you look at this innovation, it has propelled India like into the biggest real-time settlement player. In fact, if you had read the news last week, we have crossed even Visa in terms of the volume that we handle, like where we are handling on an average in UPI around 650 million, whereas Visa is handling 640. So imagine a network like Visa or say MasterCard falling behind homegrown innovation UPI. The main reason being like why we are all really impacted by this UPI is the impact that it has created across the segment. It doesn't mean like it is UPI is available to a select few. It is available to each and everyone in this country. It is available to anyone like with or without any knowledge of technology or anything. It doesn't distinguish people by wealth or anything. So everyone uses this. I think that's the main thing. If you measure an innovation by impact, and UPI is one of the best examples of bringing everyone into a perfect financial inclusion system across the country. And this was done by not a developed country, but by India, like, of course, a developing country. And this is something we can be proud of. So any innovation I'll talk through in the next slide, what is happening in the BFSI world, I'll try to call out its impact and what potential opportunities each one of us have in making a impact there. So that will be the theme, everyone. And if you look at the technology background also, like if you look at the overall tech stack, it is so scalable, it is able to withstand such huge volumes without challenges. Of course, there will be some challenge once in a while, but overall, if you look at it, it's built on an open technology stack, built on a mobile first approach where like everything happens on the mobile phone, bringing all the players like bank, individuals, account holders, businesses together in a single mobile only platform where anyone, including a tech savvy and non-tech savvy person, can use. So it has been built on a strong technology background. Of course, there are a lot of details on the type of open source software and things we have used in UPI, which you can go through, and it's completely secured, built on a two-factor authentication. So this is not the one I'm going to talk on, but I just wanted to lay the ground. The main reason many of us were able to think of UPI is the impact the innovation has created on each one of us as individual and also on the society as a whole. Like if you look at the society completely, it has been blown away by this, and everyone uses this in the same way, irrespective of whatever their status or stature is. Okay, so with this, I just wanted to start off. I just have a few examples I'll take on what we are doing with respect to like from the industry perspective. Many of you are part of the industry, so please feel free to raise your hand, add something as we talk. Let us make it interactive. If you have some differing point of view, also please let me know. But just wanted to start on a few things specifically on the BFSI space and dwell on each one of them and the opportunity it brings in. And again, we'll discuss about the impact also the innovation can bring in. The first thing I wanted to pick up was Neobank. Okay, as you know, like you might be knowing, so this is a new where branchless banking has been enabled. I think there are many neobank products in India. Neobank is just a bank, a complete digital bank where there is no branch or any offices for that. Anyone can start an account online. You can get earnings on your deposit just like you do in any bank. And still at the same time, everything resides only digitally. There is no need for you to visit a branch. The reason I picked up this one is again the impact. Even though it is small, many of us may not be using Neobank. Even I tried to set up an account just recently to see how it works, but many of us may not be exposed to this. But this again has a big potential. And as you know, like we also have the central bank has issued a digital currency where like you can keep your entire what to say money in digital form rather than holding a physical currency of 500 or 100 rupees or 20 rupees or even coins. You can completely go digital. So look at the potential. Similar to UPI, you have a neobank, which is a branchless digital banking system. And we have many players in India already like who are offering the neo banking services. And then we have central bank digital currency, CBDC, where you and I can keep all our physical money in the form of a digital asset. So with these two, again, we can reach out, we can really, the thought process I want to trigger here was like we have again bank, a digital bank, we have digital currency. So effectively, like for the unbanked or in many rural parts of India, or say, just like one of the business case I was just thinking through as I was thinking is, just like a Swiggy or Uber has made delivery possible for you, any product that you need, why can't we look at a foolproof model that can deliver banking at the hand of individual at the click of a button? Okay, this is something which has a huge potential again, because like completely like it will democratize the banking system and make banking accessible to any part of India. So this is something I just wanted to start on with. I pause here. If you have any questions, you can raise or we can discuss further. Okay, I'm seeing my screen. So in case you want, you just call out and I'll stop. Next one I wanted to cover is Agentic AI. Many in my organization also many agents have started coming up. The reason I chose this one is like this has a big power for Indian industry, especially. I know the Indian government has started a LLM initiative where like people were invited, companies were invited to support the build a Stargate kind of similar initiative in India where we have our own LLM. While that happens, like that is a like definitely that's happening through the government initiative. While that happens, there is one immediate thing that we can tap on with the large talent that we have. The largest services country in the world is India. So agentic AI is a lower entry point where like we can start building our own agents specifically in the banking financial services industry where like RPAs, robotic process automation has been adapted much quicker. So in this way, the agentic AI, where you build your own agent and allow the agent to run autonomously and complete a few tasks, be it workflow or solving a customer dispute. This is a very good opportunity for India where we can think of numerous use cases and immediately build it on top of the data that we have already in the system and create some real agents that can make an impact on the overall banking system. This will bring in the cost down overall and will also help us a lot. So this is something I thought like will be of good use, like where we can really apply our minds and bring out numerous infinite possibilities are there to solve business problems here. The next one I wanted to pick up was on alternate data. This is my own company product that came out recently in Africa, but I thought it's a very good example to talk about. Just wanted to take two examples, one in India and the one I have mentioned here from TransUnion, the telco data score. So many people do not have access to the proper credit system. Take, for example, a college graduate who comes out, if they apply for credit card or if they try to get into the financial system, initial hurdles will be there because they'll not be having enough credit. There might be what we call as new to credit in industry term, where they may be really new to credit. They may not have the complete exposure, like say an experienced person with a lot of credit history has. So for such people, or say many people who may not be in the formal system, there are alternate data. Thanks to AI and the data mining that we are able to do now, we are able to bring these people into the credit system by using the alternate data. One such example is the telco data score, which TransUnion, my company, did it with MTN, the South Africa telecom provider, where using the mobile data, like you recharge your mobile, you pay your mobile bills or the call that you maintain with your mobile, using this immense data, like the alternate data that is available, they're able to come with something called a telco data score. Using the telephone company data score, we are able to, the banking system will be able to, or the non-banking financial corporations will be able to offer loans for customers, even though they may not have a valid credit history. So again, I wanted to bring the impact, going back to the UPI example, imagine the impact that it can create. There are so many people, millions of people in India also with non-access to formal credit system. This kind of product where we can crunch in a lot of data, build in intelligence through AI, we can definitely sort out the problem for people and include many more people in the financial system. So this is something I felt like will be similar to the UPI example and added it here. Just wanted to quote one more example. Again, it's available on internet. So like where our company like had a work, like we did a product for the farmers, tying up with a startup satellite company where we'll be able to drill down and see what is the crop yield or crop growth in graphs, crunching a lot of data for for farmers who have signed up to the system. In this way, farmers also can get a view of the weather system, what is the crop yield. Through graphical interface, they can see this. And at the same time, by getting enough information about the farmer's data, the farmland, banks or non-banking financial corporation can offer them loans, even though they may not have a formal credit history. So this will bring in a lot of farmers into the credit system also. So look at the impact again, irrespective of say, like whether you are included in the financial system or you don't have access to financial system, the processing of data, getting large amounts of data in alternate data in can make lives better for many people and create a significant impact. So just wanted to include this as the third data revolution. The last one, the fourth one I wanted to update was on the complaint management system. This is something we are doing internally. Many companies may be doing it already, where through AI, we are able to process a lot of, as you know, like any banking or financial, we process a lot of data. We have millions of customers. We have billions of data coming into the system. And if you look at customer, if you go and ask the customer, there'll always be complaint. You and me or anyone in the system will have some unsolved problem with a financial institution or a bank or any of the insurance vertical or any industry. So these kind of things are ripe for automation, where like instead of trying to manually sort out a workflow, get the work in the hands of an individual who can sit and sift through the data, then process the data and give a response back to customers. These are certain things by crunching large amount of patterns or data in the past, we'll be able to resolve customer queries much quicker. And the actual agents can focus on getting the inferences drawn from the data engine, and from that be able to solve the customer's problem. So this is something I picked up because you and I can relate to it because we deal with a lot of challenges that we have, or say complaints we keep raising with the BFSI segment. This is one area where AI can to play a big role. And many of you might have already seen in your organization, a lot of automation of workflow, a lot of crunching of past data is happening so that we can draw inferences and solve customers' problem better. So this is the fourth one I wanted to highlight. I'll go to the last one and pause. The last one is something, as you know, many of the banking system. I started my career in mainframes. Many of you might have worked in AS400. Many of you might have worked in legacy systems. And you might have seen even, I think IBM has come with the Z17 with a lot of focus on like AI on mainframes. Leaving that aside, but a lot of code, like the people who have written the code in 1960, 70, or even 80s, they are still running in the system. And many of us are like, there is a large challenge in getting a talent pool that understands that code and then migrates that code into say modern architectures. Or I'll say instead of modern architecture, because the past architecture is also good, but what I meant is modern systems, like say latest programming language or tools. So that has been a big challenge. Primarily, this is from technology. Others I was talking about end user and data. This is more a technology person speaking for all technology people. So in this way, I think the automation of legacy modernization, thanks to AI tools that are available, like say Amazon Whisperer, or many of you might have already used it, where you can use some of these tools to migrate the legacy code much quicker into modern platforms. So this is a big boon where, like say, you will say enhance the security, build the latest software, create more secure code by migrating. All the benefits of converting from legacy to modern architecture or modern code will be of big value. And many of us have already started using it in our organization, where we are migrating such code through AI and then getting it validated through the system and migrating much quicker than what we used to do earlier. So instead of putting so much effort into this, we can focus on building the systems for modern technology. So that is one benefit that we get. So these are the 5 examples I wanted to share with you just to trigger some thought again, with the UPI as the base where the impact is higher, and at the same time, like it will solve problems for many people. So I'll take a pause here. I've been rattling fast. So if there are any questions, I'll just see if there are any questions from you.
You can please raise your hand if you have any questions or put it in the chat box. I'm happy to read that out.
Okay, I'll pause for a minute. Otherwise, I'll just move on. Okay. The last one I wanted to touch was on the challenges. Again, any challenge, as you all know, presents opportunities. We should look at challenge as an opportunity because we try to address the challenge and at the same time create opportunities. That's how historically humans have evolved, and that's how we have also evolved. So if you look at it, just wanted to see, these are not comprehensive list. Again, I put a few things just to provoke the thought. Okay, as you know, each one of you will say, I have never faced this, or he's not putting main challenge. That's not the issue. I just put few of them just to trigger the thought. First thing, privacy. As you know, India has passed, is working on the DPDPA, okay, Digital Privacy and Digital Protection Act. UK already has the GDPR. Certain states in US has CCPA, California Customer Protection Act. Many countries have started putting understanding the data as a new engine, and they want to ensure that their citizens' data are protected and at the same time don't fall in the hands of, say, adversaries, or say is not misused, but to put it more correctly. So many privacy laws have triggered where we need to host the content of we were going through a globalization where we build one system that will run across the globe and say across multiple data stream running as a centralized system. We still have that, but at the same time this poses a challenge where we need to follow more localization rules. So this provides an opportunity where we build more of them globally, at the same time store the content locally. So this is one thing many of you might have already seen, but just wanted to highlight that. One more thing this has triggered the related to the second half of the screen is the digital divide. If you look at it, a lot of data centers are springing up in India. I think India is one of the largest growing countries where we have a lot of data centers coming up to meet the data need, of course, the AI and data need that we have in our country, and at the same time also to help localize many of the data. If you look at it, we still have a big divide where US has the maximum data centers or the data center capacity across the globe. But India is soon catching up. But this is one which will trigger a lot of data centers thanks to many of these localization rules. And the countries and businesses realizing the importance of keeping data localized. At the same time, having more data processing power to themselves, you can see a lot of data centers also springing up. So that's one thing. It's an opportunity for us, even though it's a challenge. The next thing I want to highlight is the last one is again the need to upskill each one of us, because as you know, there is going to be a big shortage of AI experts as we build the talent and as we try to build AI based systems. So I think India has taken the lead in each of the inflection points, be it Y2K or .com, or when we had any of the big technology changes that have been happening. India has adapted and adapted the new skill, upskill, reskilled itself, and risen up to the challenge. So this is also one opportunity for each one of us to get immersed in AI and data related technologies. So it will help us meet the challenge and convert it into an opportunity for us. So these are a few things just wanted to. Once I think if we have these things in place, then innovation, a lot of innovation will automatically happen as we move on these areas. So that's all I had. Just wanted to share few of the thoughts with you. I'll pause here for any questions.
Balaji, we do have a question. How do you see AI being used in legacy code base?
So, Mrinal, thanks for that. That's what so one of the examples I gave internally also in our organization, we are using many AI tools which will automatically take the data, for example, a C code and migrate it to Java code automatically. Then we have individual developers or senior developers on top of it who take the converted code and then make sure it meets the business requirement. So if you look at our old process, since my first project, in fact, was a business rule extraction project way back in 26, 27 years back. I started by reading lines and lines of COBOL code, I think for 27 days, if I still remember, where I had to read each of the COBOL code, understand the logic, document the business rule. Then the business rule documented will be taken up by the Java team. They will use that to code afresh a Java code. That's how it used to happen 2, 3 decades back. But if you look at it now, we can take the same C code, or COBOL code, any code, and then automatically it can migrate the code for you. So the AI tools, say I gave one example, then I'm just staying away from examples, but many of the tools that we use can automatically help in migrating this content, for example, into Java. Then you can check also against the business rules and see if the Java code has to be tweaked to ensure it's working as per what you want, the business wants. So that is one example of how AI is being used in legacy code base, Mrinal.
Thank you. We have another question from Rajesh.
Okay.
Reliable source for the alternate data is the key. Any inputs on how to ensure the legal compliance?
Yeah, perfect. I think very valid point, Rajesh. So I gave the example, two examples that I gave. I'll take one of them. If you look at, I think you hit the nail on the head. Even though it's alternate data, it has to be regulated, and at the same time, it has to come from a reliable source. So the example I gave you first, specifically a tie-up with a telecommunication company, so that you get the reliable data source from them. Using that data, then you, what to say, you mine the data, bring some intelligence from it, and then you are able to draw conclusions that will help in using the alternate data properly. So totally agree with you. Reliable source is the key. And you have to form partnerships here to make sure that you get proper data that comes into the system. And at the same time, it follows all the regulatory compliance. So both these things, for example, this telco data itself, it again adheres to all the privacy rules of Africa before it's processed. So those are things that have to be regulatory things also have to be taken into account, Rakesh. Okay, I'm reading Senthil's question as you are increasing giving euro reports in current euros and road on okay. Okay, so obviously new players will come in, Senthil. Okay, because anyone who has an alternate model will come in, but definitely I can tell you, it will accelerate and add strength to the existing bureau. Because any bureau, if you look at it, we use a lot of data, right? Like it's a data, primarily it's a data and analytics company. So where you have process a lot of data with AI and data, the focus on data, you should accelerate the thought process and generate what to say, more ideas, or say make bureaus more effective only. At the same time, okay, I'll be on the other side also. Obviously, new companies will come in with a completely new model. That is also with any technology change that happens, Senthil.
Actually, you're on mute, I think.
Oh, oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, Balaji. Thanks so much. We will move to Anand. Balaji, I hope you can stick around if there are any more questions.
Sure.
I think you can answer them as well. Yeah. Over to you, Anand. Please, you can share your screen as well.
Sure. Thank you. So again, good afternoon, everyone. And Balaji, thanks for walking us through on the innovation options in fintech. So I will, as a session name goes, it's AI and data mining, but I don't have a lot of content in terms of what AI is about, etc. We read that every day. But before I start, I just wanted to check with the group in terms of when you think about AI and data, what are the top two, three things that come to your mind? I think one of them was around compliance in the previous question. What is that you're itching to know, or you feel that needs to be done in the next couple of years? Because I'm going to spend time just to talk about the evolution. While everyone talks about AI, companies like us, who are in the BFSI industry, how things have evolved and how it's evolving. That's what I'll spend about 15 minutes. But it's important that to also understand what the group is also looking at. I'll pause for a minute, 30 seconds or a minute before I start. Anybody want to go with, or all right, let me uh, start off with the brief walkthrough. So the way I've structured this is what I call evolution of AI across all enterprises. So it's pretty much applicable not just to one particular industry, but in terms of every company, how we look at AI, uh, right from what we do day in and day out, right? Back in the retail days, we used to say that retail impacts us from morning to night. From the time we get up, we use toothpaste, toothbrush, which is a retailer, to the time we I mean, you use logistics to transportation, etc., and then supply chain, and then pretty much we used to retail every day. AI pretty much would span across. Yeah, as Mrinal said, AI will impact everything. Foundation phase, what I call it, which is where most of the companies start with. For us, the journey probably started 5 to 7 years ago, and each company is in a different phase. So I would be, I mean, based on my conversations with my industry colleagues, there are various use cases, and it's important for each one of us to understand what potential AI could have, and more importantly, how to use it in the first place, right? Because a lot of our conversations are around the buzzwords AI and ML. End of the day, this is nothing new. We have done automation, robotic process automation for last 20 years. And AI and ML is good, as good as how the data is. The underlying data defines everything. So pretty much, whether you are in an organization or academia, or you're setting up your own company, data is at the center of everything, both structured and unstructured, right? Structured data could be anything which is clearly demarcated in a tabular form. All of that we get in a table, a very well defined format. Unstructured could be your let's say video, audio, images that we get as a feed from everywhere. So typically in an enterprise, data is made up of both unstructured and unstructured data. Definitely unstructured data takes time to train any model. The time it takes to train on unstructured data is huge. And that's where each company's maturity level also come into picture. Our journey started probably around 2018-19 when we partnered with Google to develop some of these. And right from there, we have gone through a phase where we have now identified use cases across the organization. Could be in HR, could be in technology. To someone's question, the legacy code, we use AI a lot to mine a lot of our legacy application, because as an organization, every organization almost carries legacy. Uh, it could be mainframe, AS400, stored procedures, which probably may want to modernize, but still they were stable systems all along, right? So you don't want to sunset also. At the same time, how do we fast track somebody who did those AS400 mainframe code probably are not in the system anymore. It was written 15, 20 years earlier. How do you make sense of those code? So applications are across the board, but to begin with, data is at the center of everything. The important thing is centralizing the data. I mean, data is a lot of disparate, right? For example, it could be lying in multiple databases in an organization. People may be running it in their own PCs or computers. Believe me, people have it in Excel spreadsheets or Microsoft Access database. It's very important to centralize this data. And without getting into a lot of technical details, which can take time as well, but ideally a data warehouse or Snowflake kind of data model where you bring all the data together. That itself is a huge exercise. It takes easily 2-3 years for companies to bring together disparate data for various reasons. One, each business owners do not want to part away with their data, so they want to have that control. So there is an education process to say why it's good to centralize. And then the format, like I said, it could be Microsoft Access, it could be spreadsheets lying around, then it could be SQL Server, Oracle databases. How do you kind of ensure that all of these get into a data warehouse kind of a model, right? And so centralization of data and automating a lot of these processes. It could be a manual job that runs every night to spit out these data. How do you automate this and ensure that the reconciliation is not manually done by somebody sitting there looking at every report? So that's very critical. So based on these data, the way when we started is the early ML models, the machine language models that we started building, we looked at all the data that is available. We looked at all documents that were available in the organization, right? So for us, building a ML model on top of these documents was a major landmark or milestone. It took us about a year or two to ensure we built what we call as an image classification and extraction engine. This takes documents or structured and unstructured data as inputs, reads through those documents. So the AML engine takes about 2 to 3 months, depending on the nature of documents you ingest, to get trained. I'll give an example. So if there are tax forms, for example, or your company has invoices, each vendor invoices could have a different format, right? So let's say there are 10 different formats of invoices. Currently you probably have a team of people sitting together and going through it in an Excel or manually reviewing it line by line. Let's say you have a couple of Word documents, PDFs, spreadsheets, and somebody just sends an email with attached with the image. So how do you get these invoices reconciled? So we started developing the ML engine to understand how these documents are structured. So depending on the number of documents you feed to the ML engine, pretty much the the engine gets trained over a period of time. So after a year or two, now every document that we process within the organization, this is on the business side. We have not covered every unit, but pretty much on the business side, when uh, let's say bank loan related documents come in. Earlier, we used to manually process those. Imagine when you apply for a home loan, what all documents we provide. You provide our salary slip, our or Form 16, tax forms, all of that. Each one is a different format. So to make the engine understand and go through that, and then once you train that, pretty much it will start segmentizing the document into various categories. It will know if there are 5 categories in the document. Let's say a document has 16 pages and 12 sections. The engine creates those metadata and stores it in memory. Next time you feed a similar document, the same format, but let's say a different customer, it knows what to look for in page 10, page 9, and gives you the data. The search becomes easier. It also starts getting trained on images because signatures could be manual, right? A lot of them will sign, these are not digital signatures. So reading the manual signatures is a talent by itself. That's where the OCR technology comes in. So the early ML models were a lot focused on building the document ingestion and scanning capabilities. From there, the next one was about understanding what we call deep learning models. So this is about looking at various data sources, unstructured data. This could be coming from your website. If you have a company website, people could be interacting there. How do you capture all the interactions? Retailers like Amazon do it very well, does it very well. Even 10, 15 years ago, when you browse on a website for, let's say, 5 minutes, the retailer knows what all you have browsed on, right? Whether you are in men's category, women's category, sports category, guess what? Next time you log in, they give you a recommendation based on your past browsing history. So again, this is not new, but these interactions are not easier to capture because you can come through the web. Now you could come through any social media channels, or in many of the banking industry, BFS industry, people still write letters. So these are handwritten letters which are posted, mailed across. It could be that, or it could be a call. People call the call center agent and speak for a while, right? How do I tap those calls? So if as an individual, I reach to my organization, to my company with whom or my provider through various channels. Let's say we have all of us have telecom, mobile, etc. We want to raise a complaint or a new request. We either do it through email or probably call their call center, or other ways we download their app and then raise a request there, or these days even Twitter, X and others, we can post it there and get the response. So remember, the interactions can be from multiple places. These unstructured data, you need to have the engine read through that and develop what is called deep learning models, right? To where we are today, where once these models are in place, we have now evolved to what is called the generative AI. I think again, Gen AI is something which is spoken about. This is about creating content on the fly based on what the engine has learned from various sources of data. It helps create customized content and provides to the user. ChatGPT is a great example. Based on what you type and what you are looking for, it throws out information, right? So a lot of the generative AI models have evolved over the last couple of years. In an industry, when I'm on a website, let's say I'm chatting with a call center agent, or if I'm on a retail website trying to purchase something, if I just say Mother's Day or Father's Day, I just type that. I don't even need to type my entire query. On the left-hand side, you will see many sites now giving recommendations on what you could buy for Mother's Day or Father's Day. So all you need to do is keep the interactions level going, because the engine knows what you are looking for, what you looked for offline, and throws the recommendation based on this. Is the generative AI content that companies are developing pretty fast now, right? And this deep learning also helps in pattern recognition. So let's say a classic example would be, somebody spoke about compliance. You have a risk and compliance and legal team. Every company has that. So we get complaints letter, customer complaints come in. One of the question is, based on the complaints that has come in the last 12 months, how can I prevent those complaints coming in the next 12 months? This is one of the questions that the legal and compliance team always has. So a lot of these, the way the engine works is it goes through all the complaint letters that came in the last 12 months. It could be a letter or a social media post or through any other form, crunches those data, looks for patterns stating this type of customer raises this complaint and potentially you should expect this in the coming months. So predictive analytics come into play. A lot of statistical modeling gets into play there. And we are now able to actually project, help our legal compliance team stating in the next 6 to 12 months, typically these are the areas where you could get complaints. You could get complaints related to escrow payments, tax, based on the past data we have. Where it helps us proactively, the team takes decisions and ensures those complaints are minimized. So this is where predictive analytics is being used in the risk and compliance or legal kind of scenario. I spoke about this already. The generative AI is used for content creation. You would have seen if people have used Copilot in Microsoft or similar tools like Gemini in Google, it summarizes after every meeting, even this meeting, if it was AI enabled, you will get a summary of what Balaji, me, and spoke, and all of you asked, right? So the summarization of calls, this is very well used in call centers these days. A call could go for 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, right? Earlier, the agent used to note down. They manually used to type and say, can I put you on hold for 5 minutes? Let me note down. It's a pain for the customer, right? Why do I wait for 3 minutes or 5 minutes? These days, nobody want to wait as well. So now the AI summarization automatically captures everything, including the sentiment. This sentiment analysis is very important because depending on the voice of the customer, right? I get onto a call, I'm very frustrated about an issue. So imagine how my sentiment would be. I'll be upset. I'm an upset customer or an irate customer. It captures the sentiment as part of the summary and says, this was a call where the sentiment analysis based on that, it was 2 out of 10, right? And this is how the agent handled it. That goes as a feedback loop to the entire team to say how to handle similar calls. So sentiment analysis becomes part of all the summarization and customer interactions. There are tools which help in sentiment analysis. We have homegrown tools, for example, which we have plugged into our AI models, which we are heavily investing in our call center space. So call center, document processing, and legal compliance are some of the use cases which are being which I see as a common trend. To someone's point earlier, having done all this, how do I keep my auditors and compliance friends happy, right? Because their question is, hey, A is okay, but it can throw junk data, it can hallucinate, it can go weird, it can go on a complete tangent and throw some nonsense. Yes, if the underlying data is bad or chaotic, it's going to be your AI model also will be chaotic. So definitely the compliance and legal team have reasons to worry. That's where the world is moving towards what is called supervised AI, or so agentic AI is getting, the trends are moving towards that, right? What does it mean? For example, if Balaji is one of the uh, processing agent, and let's say he is the top performer in that team, and I have a team of about 15 people who does either call center, or let's say they do underwriting process or any of the process. So day in and day out for 8 hours, they go through call, speak to a customer, take data, go through a workflow. So the AI agent will be modeled after Balaji. So it will monitor how Balaji goes about delivering the process, because he is identified as the top performing candidate there, right? Take some of those uh, uh, top performing candidates and ensure the AI agent learns through them in terms of the entire process. What it does is, it takes, once the AI agent gets comfortable with the process Balaji handles, guess what? It actually builds out a process flow. The process flow looks like a real flow chart with all the data. It is just based on the agent monitoring your screen, your interactions. How did you handle any exception conditions? All of that. A neat flow chart comes out as an output of this exercise, and probably uh, in a in a month or two. It depends on the complexity of the process. So I'm not going to fix a time for any of the training. It can take time depending on the complexity. But once the agent is trained enough on the number of data set, let's say Balaji handles 50 calls per day, and there are, so over a period of a month, fairly enough calls variations have been handled. He gets to say whether the agent has learned the process, right? That's called supervised AI. He would sign off stating the agent output, AI agent output is very good. And pretty much that's an additional check that supervised AI comes with, right? We pretty much not allowing the AI agents to take a decision on its own, but having a human in the loop to ensure that pretty much whatever the AI agent has brought out is validated before it's signed off. So there are new models that are coming in where we could generate AI agents to do a lot of these complex processes, but at the same time have control also in terms of how do we want to ensure that the right outcome is obtained. So what can organizations do? Just to summarize, one, first get your data organized and centralized. There is enough data floating around. If you don't get your data right, your AI model is going to be pretty bad, right? So ensure that you get that right and start identifying use cases. I spoke about some of them. Cybersecurity, you will have monitoring, the vulnerabilities, etc. AI could play a role there. All it needs to know is what are the peripheral devices to be monitored and constantly keep track of any vulnerabilities that come in. Call centers I spoke about, right from uh, ensuring summarizing a call and capturing all the interactions and ensuring the sentiment analysis is captured. It's a big win for call centers where AI agents can literally do help support the agents in terms of what they could focus on ideally, right? If I'm a call center agent, I'm going to not make the customer wait because I have the data coming up handy next to me because AI keeps pulling out the summary and knowledge base. It scans through the knowledge base to see whether similar questions were asked in the past and also throw that on a screen next to me. Otherwise, in the past, I would actually go and type the question and say, can I put you on hold for 30 seconds and then come back and answer? Now, based on the interactions AI which is running in the background, the agent will say, oh, there is a question on tax. How much income tax I need to pay for if I cross this slab? Before I could answer, the response is there on the screen for me, right? And legal and compliance, we spoke about. Somebody had a question on code tech development. Technology development and re-engineering, we are seeing a lot of uses. One, definitely the code generation is one thing where earlier also there was framework. Now AI is able to bring, the agents are able to bring the best of all the frameworks and help almost structure half of the programs. Re-engineering is what that legacy code you spoke about. We have, like, every company has a lot of legacy. I said we found it pretty useful when we had to mine through a lot of stored procedures and AS400 and mainframe code. It was not perfect. It was 75% accurate in terms of the flow. It took a couple of iterations for it to get to 85, 90. So none of these is going to give you 100% accurate flow or code to begin with. But guess what? To Balaji's earlier point, if I start reading through every code, one, I need those expertise to read because I may not have that skill set now. Other, I'm going to validate, like the supervisory agent. I will validate if the flow is reasonably okay, but it can scan through like 1,000 stored procedures and give me a nice process flow, data flow, etc. Right? And last but not the least, HR, finance, for example, a lot of the corporate presentations, I mean, analyst presentations, somebody spoke about bureau, etc. I mean, agent can mine the data, market data, and prepare you a good analyst report to be presented to the board, etc. Right? The CFO need to validate those data. That's something I know certain companies are using it, especially those in the investment banking area or those who specialize in analysts, corporate analyst kind of reporting tool. HR talent acquisition is what we are seeing more AI being used, right from resume screening to job matching, all of that. So definitely there are more use cases out there depending on the nature of the organizations you run. And even for academia, people from academia, it's important that the students as well as academia know the underlying data is what we need to focus on before getting into building out any model. So the more structured or rather consolidated the data is, the better your model will be. That's what I had on the slides. I know had to go through content in a short frame of time, but pretty much wanted to leave everyone with how the industry is evolving as far as the AI is concerned, and practically what are the use cases being looked at and various models that are being put in use. My only other suggestion is, without worrying too much about which tools we should focus on, which tools we need to be trained, Python or etc. These things will evolve. Today it would be Python. 1 year down the line, it would be something else. If as a group we continue to focus on data, then predictive analytics, statistical modeling, if we can focus on these three or four, your model would be easier to develop. That's how we should approach it.
Thank you, Anand.
Questions.
Any questions, please raise your hand or you can put it on the chat box. Yes, Mrinal, please.
Hi, Anand. So I think some great insights. One question that I had was that the way we are looking at AI right now is that AI is taking raw data and it is it is training itself on that data, and which becomes an input parameter, which is giving us some outputs. Now, the way organizations have been looking at AI is one, they are looking at uh, uh, either a synthetic data or they are looking at organic data.
Mhm.
How do you see the impact? Because to me, the way if we start relying too much only on synthetic data, the quality of output over a longer period of time, the quality of output of all the AI generated information that is coming our way, it will start getting diluted. Uh, I typically, when I'm talking to some of my colleagues, what I say is that, okay, if you are using Anthropic to generate a piece of code, the median of code is better than a bad developer, but it is lower than a very good quality developer. What we see is that, okay, with AI, do you think that there might come a time when overall the quality of input for the training models becomes lower, and then kind of it impacts the input? I'm not sure whether it's a very convoluted question, but just wanted to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah.
Sure, let me try to paraphrase that. So by way I understood it, so when you talk about synthetic data, so you're talking about more of sample or mimic data, right? That's what to build the models. Or because I'm most of the time, at least in our enterprises like us, we actually go with the real data, which comes through, like I said, if I take call center, for example, it's interactions through the agents as well as uh, through various channels. So it could be website, it could be mobile apps, and so on. So these are real data that we base the uh, based on which the model is developed. So our choice of data, that's why I spoke about centralization. It could be multiple sources, multiple channels, but everything is almost real-time data or real data, right? Definitely, from an access perspective, certain things are masked considering PII and sensitivities. But to develop any of these models, including the document processing model I explained to you, we actually need the right set of documents. We actually need W2 forms or Form 16s in the right format with actual data to build the model. Now, we could have dummy data for certain columns fields, but as long as the fields that I'm mapping to based on which I'm building the models are accurate, that would be good for my ML model to be trained. So back to your question, synthetic data, I mean, for me, the source needs to be good combination of structured and unstructured data, which has been validated and vetted by the business that is using it, and the source needs to be, I think earlier somebody mentioned, the source needs to be pretty compliant with whatever we do. I'm not sure whether I directly responded to that question, but I just understood the synthetic data part of it as something like mimicked or sample data.
It did answer my question partially, Anand. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Sure, happy to, I know in terms of time, happy to take some of these offline or whenever in the other forums we connect as well. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have another question. My generative AI is has great impact in pharmaceutical industry, but at the same time, what would be the demerits?
um, in terms of the demerits, it's irrespective of the industry. The first thing is primary thing is about the again, based on how the content is generated, based on what data, right? Especially in the pharmaceutical industry, when we talk about generative AI, what are we going to, what is the content that we are going to display, or what is that we are going to tell the customer, right? So if it's more sensitive about medication or diagnosis, etc., it has to be purely based on how the underlying data source that was there. So again, not just the pharma industry. When I talked about generative AI, whether it's in banking, pharma, or anywhere, the content that gets the demerit, more than the demerit, again, it will go back to the accuracy of the data that we have fed the model with, right? If the underlying data has a lot of noise, or let's say it was not from a proper source, then the demerit would be about, definitely it's about wrong diagnosis or wrong information that is being passed on to the customer. So apart from that, I don't see a demerit as such, and the compliance aspects of it need to come in. If there are sensitive information that's being shared, it has to go through the supervisory model that we spoke about, where there is a human in the loop, there is a subject matter experts who vets these information before it's passed on to the customer. So generative AI does not necessarily mean everything can go out real time. It could go based on some of the guardrails that we have kept within the organization. Balaji, if you want to add something.
I totally concur, Anand. I think the overall process still should go on. Okay, like the cycle it takes for pharma company, even though it will be cut by generative AI taking the data, the overall the due diligence that has to be done to prevent any hallucination or any incorrect data coming in. So the responsible AI becomes more pronounced here in case of a pharmaceutical company compared to other industries. So that is one thing definitely we have to watch out for.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks, Balaji. Um, any further questions? Yes, Gauri, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for your excellent information. I just have a small doubt. I just only asked the doubt that AI has what would be the demerits in the pharma industry. One more thing, is there any regulatory hurdles is there, sir, if you are using AI in pharma industry? Because why I'm asking particularly in pharma industry.
I think we lost.
We lost a bit. But I think definitely yes, regulatory will be there because it's a highly regulated industry. I'm not from pharma, but I can say for sure based on it, definitely there'll be a complete regulatory approval that will be required before I think any AI model gets approved for pharma industry.
It could vary. I can draw a parallel, Gauri, to the banking industry. In terms of what data can we use in the first place, what customer data can we use, that is also defined by the regulator. We cannot, whereas in a retail, it's more public data, right? Anything we browse, it's normally available then and there. Banking, pharma, healthcare, insurance are more regulated. So the right from the data we use, underlying data we use, like could be your personal data, I mean, your Aadhaar number, for example, in India, what do you do with that? And social security number in the US. Right from there to, in pharma case, your history in terms of medical history, etc. You cannot randomly go and have somebody's medical history and build analytics on top of that. You can generalize that, stating in the past 6 months or 12 months, these are typically the impact of this medicine or these symptoms, all of that, and build an analytics model around a generic data set rather than personalized data set, right? So those will be the controls I could think of on the pharma industry, but there will be more. And also one thing that, see, these things are always exciting to, because the trends are changing, right? When everyone gets time, just look at how Tesla is always a great example of how they've used AI in their cars. So Tesla started with sensors, ultrasound sensors and cameras in their cars. Now they've almost done away with all the sensors. They are only using cameras for their uh, safety, everything. I mean, you should read through in terms of how these cameras capture the visual aspects of it. They use what we call visual AI generators. So based on what they capture in a traffic light, when they approach a traffic light, are there pedestrians crossing there? Where are the right turns, left turns, and all of that, and how far is the traffic light? This gets fed to the AI engine built inside the car, and that's how the car also calculates in terms of next time when the same person passes through this at the same time, it could take 5 minutes extra because this is a peak traffic hour. So when time permits, read through how Tesla has migrated from a sensor to a, if you just Google for it or ChatGPT for it stating, does Tesla use cameras or something like that, you would find nice articles. This is a classic example of visual analytics and visual AI generation, which companies are now planning to use it in call centers or anything that can be visually captured. This call, for example, if there is a AI agent running behind, it can actually capture the entire video, and give us a good sample of how summary of everything that we have spoken in the last this thing. So visual analytics and video AI is going to be pretty powerful as well in everything we do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anand. Thank you so much, Balaji. It was a very, very interesting session. I hope a lot of them were able to learn, take a few insights back from this place. Audience, please write to us if you have any further questions. We're happy to take it to Anand and Balaji, and we'll ask them for a response further. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Hoping to have you all back soon for another knowledge session series with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.